For staying with us here on the Key Points. Now, on the eve of 7th January, there were chaotic scenes in Parliament, and that generated some concern and dismay about how Parliament had degenerated. Well, somehow that repeated itself this week after similar chaos after the minority's motion to overturn the budget failed, worsening the already deep divisions and disagreements over government's 2022 economic policy. It reminds of the mantra that those who fail to learn from history are doomed to repeat it. And with this near-split Parliament of equal numbers, is it the fault of the majority for failing to engage and negotiate thorny parts of the budget, such as the e-levy and the Momo tax? Will our MPs resolve this ultimately, or will this be our portion, the people of Ghana's portion, over the next 3 years? Our guest for this segment, the Honourable Habib Idrisu, who is the second Deputy Majority Whip and MP for Tolon. He's sitting right next to me. And we also have the Honourable Murtala Mohammed, who is the MP for Tamale Central. Gentlemen, thank you for coming in this morning to the Key Points. Lovely to have you.
Thank you.
All right. So I'll start with you, Honourable Habib. Many are not happy about how Parliament has been working this week, and the chaotic scenes have offended many. Your preliminary comments on what has happened this week?
Thank you, and good morning to your viewers and listeners. In actual fact, on behalf of the leadership of the majority, we are equally not happy and actually sorry to the Ghanaian public for the unforeseen circumstances that is actually happening in the House. We know for sure Parliament everywhere is about expression. The expression, your views in a way of talking, exchanging, conversation, debating. That is the essence of parliamentary work. But for the fact that it is getting a bit physical and a bit violent, that is the unfortunate part of the whole conversation. But we in the majority, we are actually working so hard to make sure that such things doesn't happen anymore. If it happened that way, it's marred the beauty of democracy and parliamentary business in Ghana, and it's rather unfortunate that this thing is happening. But we can assure the Ghanaian public that we are doing whatever we can to make sure that such things doesn't happen. So moving forward, things are going to be okay and normal, and for us to be able to coexist and do our parliamentary business, as in representing our people, as in having oversight responsibility, and us in making laws just to express our views, but not to get physical.
All right, now let's just take viewers back to those issues in Parliament. And this started at the beginning of the week, but what we're showing you was after the minority leader, Haruna Idrisu, put forward a motion for rescission, and this motion is meant to overturn the 2022 budget approval by the majority side. That was done without the minority, and the ultimate outcome. Let's see that.
When members argue that except otherwise provided in the Constitution, it is clear that it is provided for in Article 2912, where it is required that a decision be made by 2/3 of members. It doesn't mean that we should go to the quorum for. So, honorable members, let me put on record that I am a member of Parliament. I was counted to make the motion, and that was suspended in this house. But what are you doing? You don't rule on it. We have to take a decision. I did not vote. Tell me in the standard of what is therefore the application. He cannot rule. He cannot rule on a motion that is before the house. No. How can he rule on a motion? He cannot rule on the motion.
Well, that was the beginning of what led to some chaotic scenes and the yanking of the first deputy speaker's seat.
Decide to snatch the seat of the speaker.
I didn't snatch the seat of the speaker.
What did you do?
Well, I was preserving the seat for speaker. to come.
Is it part of your parliamentary duties to preserve his seat?
Well, it's not my duty, but when a speaker rules that he's not a speaker, then the speaker will have to come and sit on the seat and take decision on that. You understand? So the fact of the matter is a motion was tabled. Yes, speaker might have said that he was not giving prior notice, but the motion was tabled and was seconded. Debates from both sides came on this motion. Now, per our rules, you need to put the question. You didn't put the question. He, the speaker, cannot unilaterally take decision on a motion. It is the House that must take decision on a motion.
But are you aware that going to touch the seat of the speaker, for want of a better word, is sacrilege?
Well, you are saying it. I didn't do that. Speaker was not on the seat when I touched it.
You touched it.
So many people touches the speaker's
Were you supposed to touch
seat. So many people, yeah, I can touch it. Well, after touching speaker's seat, what happens? The clerks, everybody touches the speaker's seat. I mean, it's just a normal thing.
Your action attracted the marshals, and that is the concern. Why did you have to touch it?
The marshals were already there. The marshals were there before anybody could touch anything. The marshals surrounded the maze. They surrounded the seat. I mean, there was nothing like anybody carrying the speaker's seat outside the chamber. No, that was not the impression, or that should not be the impression created. We recognize him as one of our honorable member, Joe Osei-Wusu, MP for Bekwai.
Finally, you don't regret going to snatch the speaker's seat?
I will not answer to that. Thank you.
All right, so that was the Ashaiman MP, the Honorable Ernest Nogbe, there explaining why he yanked the speaker's seat away. But I guess the critical issue was the motion that was put forward by the minority failed. And so the budget remains, for some, in limbo because the majority says it's approved, the minority says otherwise. Let me bring in the Honorable Murtala Mohammed at this point. So there are two schools of thought that the First Deputy Speaker, as presiding, had ruled on the minority's motion and it failed. That led to this rancorous outcome. But ultimately, why was the minority in such haste to oppose the Speaker presiding?
Well, first and foremost, let me say good morning to your cherished viewers. And of course, my professor and my lecturer, Professor Jampo, is elating and refreshing to share the same platform with him. Let me also say good morning to my leader and my kid brother. You know, he said that he's here with his senior brother. I said I'm also here with my leader. Okay. This is the first time I'm sharing a platform politically, you know, with him. Of course, we have been engaging in Parliament. And also good morning to the good people of Tamale Central. The reasons why I'm here. I'm here because they gave me the mandate to represent them. It is important for us to look at the genesis of this whole brouhaha. I don't know, you describe it as a rancor, you know, between the NDC and the NPP. But I need to state that per our standing orders, we don't have majority and minority. My brother gleefully said that we the majority. There is nothing like majority and minority in this current Parliament, and the Speaker in his ruling, you know, in the matter of the rejection, properly done by Parliament on the 26th of November, stated that he wanted to be very clear that there isn't majority and minority.
You're talking about Speaker Bagbin?
Yes, Bagbin, yes. He stated that when
I recall Speaker Bagbin, not to interrupt you, but I recall, just for clarity, I recall Speaker Bagbin saying that in as much as the numbers are the same, there is an independent candidate that has chosen to do business with the NPP, and so they become the majority side. He
said the majority group. As a matter of fact, the independent...
Group or side, what's the difference?
No, as a matter of fact, the independent member is not a member of NPP in this Parliament. He only agrees to sit with them and in voting. So if you want to look at NPP representation in Parliament, they have 137, and NDC representation in Parliament 137. It's just that the independent member of Parliament agrees to sit and in voting with them. And I'm making this statement for a reason. It is the responsibility of every government, every year or the beginning of any fiscal year, to submit your financial statement for Parliament to approve. In fact, the financial statement is submitted to the people of this country. But the minister cannot gather all of us, 32 million people in this country, to tell us that this is the planned expenditure and the expected revenue of government going into the fiscal year. It is done through the representation of the 32 million, over 32 million people. In this case, the 275 members of Parliament. The Minister of Finance presents the policy statement for and on behalf of His Excellency, the President. So that is why the budget is described as the budget of the President, the one given the mandate by the people of this country to rule. Now, when a minister presents the policy statement, when the policy statement is approved, you then go into the estimates, or what is described as appropriation. Now, if you approve the policy statement and the estimates are not approved, or the appropriation bill is not passed by Parliament, the President cannot indeed do anything or spend any dime as even being approved in the policy statement. So let me make this very clear, particularly to our friends from MPP, that the approval or not of this budget is not the end of the game. What is critical is the approval of the estimates. The minister presented the policy statement. We then were given the opportunity per the standing orders to debate the policy statement. And mind you, before the policy statement is debated, a motion would have been moved and seconded. And in that, other members, backbenchers, middle benchers, you engage in the debate. The final day is the culmination of the closing debate of the leadership. So the minority leader, in this case, the NDC group, would have summed up the views of the entirety of the caucus and take a position as far as the policy statement is concerned. The MPP group, or if you like, for the purposes of this discussion, the majority leader will also conclude his debate and state the position of his caucus. Now, on Friday, 26th of November, 2021, after we engaged in almost more than a week debate, that day we came there to conclude on the debate. And some of us rose, supported the motion. In my contribution to the debate, I called for an absolute rejection of the policy statement. There were many other of my colleagues who called for the rejection of the policy statement. But the position of our leader, in this case, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, is more important because it sums up the position of the entire caucus. On Friday, Honorable Haruna Idrisu was given the opportunity to conclude the debate and state the position of the NDC caucus. And he gave reasons why the NDC group thinks that this budget be rejected. Now, the MPP group, the majority leader, Honorable Chairman Sabonsu, also indeed concluded his debate and gave reasons. Mind you, they are given more time. In the debate, ministers, ranking members, and chairs of committees were given about almost 20 minutes. And those who were not ranking and chairs were given about 10-15 minutes. And on this day, they were all given 40 minutes each. Honorable Haruna Idrisu ended up spending about 43 minutes. And Honorable Chairman Sabonsu spent about 49 minutes, if my memory serves me right. After the debate is done, what is next is to move the motion, is to put the question for vote. Now, there were a lot of issues. One, Honorable Haruna Idrisu, there were a lot of issues before the concluding debates. Now, the Speaker, as the ceremonial head of Parliament, whose responsibility it is to ensure that we conduct business in an atmosphere of civility and accordance with rules and regulations. Sometimes they may bend the rules and regulations for the purposes of decency to prevail in the House. He then said, look, this leadership must sit so that we can find an amicable resolution to some of these issues. And the reason why it was important is that prior to the Friday, many members asked questions why the Minister of Finance was not in the House. In fact, if you check the history, anytime budget statements or policy statements are made, the ministers or at least their deputies will engage in the debate as even expected by the standing orders. And the reason why the minister or his deputies should participate in the debate is that as the debate goes on, people will raise issues. So you begin to identify with the science. You could still make amendments, you could still make some changes as the debate goes on, so that at the end of the day you wouldn't have the problem we have at hand. When we raise this issue, the NPP group opposed it. Now when the speaker went into conclave with them, and it was agreed, and he is a leader, perhaps he'll be in a position to give us the accurate information. It was agreed that certain concessions were made. The understanding we had as a caucus was that the Minister of Finance was going to stand down those issues. One, the regressive e-levy, which is absolutely unacceptable. Two, the criminal Ajapa deal. Three, the misrepresentation in the matter of Eke in the budget. And they all agreed that Parliament was misrepresented, because that was not the directive of Parliament. The very wicked 15% adjustment in all government fees and charges. That is even more dangerous than the e-levy and the KETA, issue. All these things were agreed upon. Now, when they came in, per the standing orders, the moment the closing debates are made, the speaker would put the question. However, because of the leadership, including the speaker, had agreed that the Minister of Finance was going to pray. And the prayer here means he was going to give a good. The understanding and the conclusion in the meetings we had was...
So your entire submission is that what? You put all these things forward and the finance minister didn't take it into consideration?
No, when the finance minister was given the opportunity for the prayer, he was not standing down what was agreed upon. He was asking us to approve this budget pending any further engagement. What use will it make if I have a problem with a document and I'm raising those issues? Now you are telling me to approve it and then sit to engage me. And we said no. Tell us, you can come through with an extract that I am standing down ABCD for further engagement. We would have gone ahead to approve the budget, conscious of those things that were stood down. He didn't do that. So when that thing happened, then the speaker had to put the question as to whether we agree with further engagement with the minister after the approval of this budget or not. And we said no. So we voted against that. Now, when we voted, the question was put for voice vote. The speaker, in his estimation, felt that the no had it more than the yeah.
But there was no yeah.
No.
There was nobody in the house to say yeah, the majority.
No, they did for the motion on the prayer. Okay. So when they did that, the speaker then said, look, per my listening, the no had it more than the yeah. Now, per the standing orders, if the speaker rules in the matter of a vote and you disagree with the position of the speaker, you have two opportunities. You can call for division or head count. Division simply means all the necessary steps will be taken to ensure that the question is put again. And what are the necessary steps? Those who are not supposed to be in the chamber, for the purposes of the voice vote, the speaker will ensure that all of them leave the chamber, so that he will put the question again. If he puts the question and you still have an issue, then you call for head count. When the speaker said the no had it, Honorable Afenyo Markins, the deputy majority leader or the deputy leader of the MPP caucus, did not call for head count. He called for division. Now, if he called for division, per practice, the speaker needed to ensure that anybody who is in the chamber who doesn't have the right to vote leaves the chamber. Mind you, ministers can engage and participate in debate, but they do not participate in decision making on the floor of Parliament. Now, Mr. Speaker then said that the Minister of Finance, I think Minister of Transport and other ministers who were there should leave the chamber. Honorable Asedun Ketia was seated at the public gallery. That public gallery is open to every citizen in this country. The track pusher at Agbobulushi can decide that today, I want to witness what is going on in Parliament. When he comes there, except that there are justifiable reasons for which he will be prevented from sitting there, he can go and sit there. Honorable Asedun Ketia was not the only person sitting there. There were other MPP people who were sitting there. Now, when they asked that the minister should leave, and they were seated, The speaker then asked the marshals to get them out. For the purposes of your listening public, the house there, the ceremonial leader of parliament is not the president. Neither is it a minister. It's the speaker. This is an arm of government.
Okay,
and therefore,
your submission is taking quite long because I jumped us ahead because last week we dealt with all of
the reason why I'm raising, the reason why you need to give me just a little time to conclude on this is that I have heard a lot of stories. That house is the house of the legislature, not the executive. The speaker is the head, if you like, the ceremonial head of the house. And therefore, the standing orders of the house is the standing orders that must be respected by anybody.
Okay,
assuming without admitting.
So there was the disagreement about Honorable Asiedun Ketia
remaining
No.
And
so the majority side were unhappy about that.
They allowed a level 100 MP to commandeer them out. Someone who is still learning the rudiments.
There's nothing about
that. There is everything.
He's a member of parliament. He may be a backbencher, but he's a member.
When you rise to speak and your leader rises, you sit. We are all members of parliament. But among equal members of parliament, there are some. You have a level 100 MP.
Okay, so what has that got to do with all of this?
He commandeered them out.
They would have left if they wanted to.
Well, but we also, the guy didn't just, he spoke into the mic. He left.
You have taken us too way back. Let's address what has happened this week.
It has everything to do with what has happened.
Because you are spending too much time. If you can quickly summarize so that
it has everything to do.
This segment is only 1.5 hours.
I agree, but it has everything.
So
you see, Jifa, it is important, even if I state that and I don't talk about this, I don't mind. Now, when they left, any decision we took there was legitimate, was legal, was acceptable. The motion was already put. The concluding debates were done. 274 members were present and signed per the votes and proceedings, by the way, which was approved by them on Tuesday. Now, the decision we took there, despite the fact that we had 137 members who were seated because they staged a walkout on the very division they called for, was absolutely legitimate. They then came on Tuesday to engage in an absolute illegality. Now, on Monday, he knows the leadership were supposed to meet. They agreed to meet around 2 o'clock. Our side included representation from our party. They also had people from their party. 2 o'clock, they were still at the citadel for corruption.
I beg your pardon.
The citadel.
No, sir. Well, I can't allow you to use that.
I see the Flagstaff House.
No, sir.
Why?
No, you can't say that Flagstaff House.
Tell me what is wrong. Tell me what is wrong. Tell me what is wrong with that.
Because I don't have any proof that is what it is. It is the seat of government. Let's respect the seat of government as it is.
How disrespectful is this statement to the seat of government?
It is disrespectful to the extent that I don't have any.
You see the hypocrisy in this country.
No, this is not about it.
Hold on.
If it were a different government in office, I would not allow it either. So let's not.
You have the current minister.
I would like you to finish up.
Well, you have the current Minister of Finance who participated in Occupy the Flagstaff House, granted interviews. He described the Flagstaff House in all manner of ways. You see the hypocrisy in this country. But I will pray, but that's why I will not
allow it if it were the other side.
They were called to the Flagstaff House. Now, our team sat from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock. They called them and said that if they could push the meeting to 8 o'clock. And our team said, no, we have been here around 2 o'clock. So they agreed to meet on Tuesday. On Tuesday, they were in caucus meeting. We were also in caucus meetings. Our team met them. And some concessions were actually made. The fraudulent Ajapa deal was dropped.
You keep using these terminologies.
It is fraudulent.
I cannot prove. Please, let's not use these terms because it is on our platform and I cannot prove that anything is fraudulent or not until I have the evidence of it. You can disagree with the Ajapa deal, but let's not use words that impugn criminality and the like that I have no proof of.
Which criminality has been impugned?
Thank you.
Which criminality has been impugned?
If you say fraudulent, it means you're impugning criminality, and fraud is a criminal issue.
Well, I think
Thank
that
you.
you are the only person who is living in Kosovo.
No, this is not about living in...
Well,
yeah.
Ajapa deal. I don't know what.
Okay, so please, you just say Ajapa. You are opposed to Ajapa deal.
The
Fine.
15%.
Yes, you are opposed to that as well. That's
things.
fine.
Now, then came the vex issue of the e-levy. By the way, the e-levy has been described.
Okay, can you help me wrap up so that then we can delve into the individual issues that you are unhappy with?
Then came the vex issue of e-levy. Now, when our team came, they came to meet the caucus. These are the things they agreed to step down. But on the issue of the e-levy, they said they can only come down to 1.5. And we said no. The reason why we are where we are have to do with some of the things they put in, particularly the e-levy. And for which reason, not just the NDC, very reputable institutions such as ISE and others have described them. Jifa, when we went for the post-budget hearing...
Let's not go into that. So just... We'll come to the specifics because...
Okay, so I shouldn't go into the specifics.
Yes, because the minority has issued a statement on e-levy and all that. It's a question I have to ask. But if you address all of that now, we will not finish. No, so I want you to talk up. You've made the point...
If you had told me, if you had indicated to me that just make preliminary comments, don't get into
it's not that.
Mine is to save your time.
No, but I thought you were going to summarize...
on the issue...
So the point is...
So we never agreed...
Hold on. So you made concessions.
Yes.
But then when it was time to go back to the chamber, you all refused to go back and vote. The majority side went and voted to approve the budget.
When you prevent me from giving you the genesis why we refuse. No, hold on. Jifa, I'm not...
Okay, because I have to give time
if you
to
don't,
honorable...
Then tell me I can stop, then he comes in.
Sir.
Then later I can come in and
you wrap up, then I can...
Because you see...
Because you've raised many issues he will now have to deal with.
If I don't have any problem pausing, then he can come in.
Okay, so...
Then I proceed. I don't have any problem.
It's because what you've said only ends as of Tuesday. And today, there are other things that happened since then.
Everything that happened... or what we are discussing today, they have to do with what preceded Tuesday. So if I don't explain that, your viewers, I won't be doing them any good.
They've also been watching the proceedings. So
but not all of them watch the proceedings. And some of the issues we put out there, the people may not know. But if you want me to sum up,
so you
I will.
You summarize.
I'm saying that when that thing happened, we disagreed. We said we are not going to agree with any. However, our leadership said that based on the experts' position, and the aspect we brought to Ho for the post-budget review, they all think that the e-levy was regressive, and they gave suggestions that if government could put it around 0.5% to 1%, for example, they said that. Now our leadership said we are going to engage them again. Is it appropriate for us to look at the experts' advice in the matter of this? Now when they went there, discussions broke down because they disagreed. Now on Tuesday, we had two options. They had indicated they were going to do exactly what the first deputy speaker did. The only option left for us was to go there and fight. Because if they indicated that we are going to do what he did, now our party then said the people of this country are not interested in members of parliament fighting in the chamber, and therefore we should avoid going there. That was the reason. That was the reason why we didn't go. Now, when we didn't go, true to all the expectations, they did exactly what they claimed they were going to do. Assuming we're in the chamber and the speaker did what he did, the only option left for us was going to engage in
but you could have said no, and then it would be on the record that you rejected
no, they would have still gone ahead. You see, it's the voice vote that is put. Once the voice vote is put, they indicated that they are not going to allow any head counts. We knew on Tuesday, just the last one we went with, and for which reason people are now blaming us, members of parliament, something we avoided on Tuesday. When we went there, we knew most of their members were not there. And I can tell you, the Minister for Energy wasn't in the house.
So you were opposed to that, yes. And that's why you all didn't go.
Yes, but we went the last one, that was on this.
And that is where you put your motion for rescission, and that had failed.
Good. Per the standing orders, once a motion is moved, seconded, debated upon, the Speaker has no option than to put the question. Now, if the Speaker disagreed with the motion moved by Honorable Harun Idrisu, he wouldn't have even allowed him to move the motion. He would have said, look, I disagree with this motion. Because
so he shouldn't have allowed the motion.
But
to the extent that he allowed
the motion,
been accepted.
Allowed it to be defended, allowed it to be debated upon by both sides. He had no option than to put the question. There's a reason why he refused to put the question. He knew that a lot of their members were not there. He knew. And he knew that we had our members, our 137 members were present. at least I can mention 2 members of the MPP who were not there.
Okay.
And those members were not.
So that is what led to the scenes.
So he knew that if
so
he
that's
had
what
voted,
led to what we saw. Okay, I now have to come to Honorable Habib. You've made the point. I think you've spoken for effectively almost 20 minutes alone. So please, I have to allow Honorable Habib. But let me, we'll bring in Professor Jampo, but because to the extent that things have been raised, I have to let Honorable Habib address them.
I think my senior colleague, Honorable Mutala, have struggled a lot to make a point.
Oh, really?
If you actually look at what actually was going on record, there's no motion pending in Parliament for the Speaker to take a determination by what was actually moved.
Okay, but this motion for rescission,
no,
why
there's no motion. There's no motion before Parliament. I'm telling you,
but it was accepted. It was debated.
I'm telling you on authority that there is no motion before Parliament. You see, the minority leader rise under Order 51 to say that at the time purpose under Order 53, any member may, with the prior approval of Mr. Speaker, move a motion for a specific matter of urgent public importance. That is what Order 51 said. One, I was at conclave. I'm a leader. So before we come into the House, we go into conclave. We talk about what actually we have to discuss in Parliament. We agree with the speakership, whether it is the retired Speaker, Honorable Alban Barbin, the first Deputy Speaker or second Deputy, whosoever is going to preside. Then we know that this is what is going to happen in the House. You see, what happened on that day, people thinking that a motion was moved and seconded and debated, no, that was not the issue. When the minority leader rise to move that motion, after that, if you watch the video very carefully, the majority leader rise and drew the attention of the Speaker to the specific prior approval of Mr. Speaker of a motion, of which that was not granted. So when majority leader make that drew the Speaker attention to that, then Honorable Mahama Ayariga also rise. The Speaker, in his own wisdom, trying to let, you see.
Okay, but then why did the Speaker allow it to continue if he didn't pronounce specifically on it?
So that is what. Let me conclude.
I think you made
I was actually listening to him carefully so that he will be able to, the respect that I have for him. So he should be able to.
No, I think he's giving us the thorough history.
So the point is that on that day, when the motion for rescission was moved by Honorable Haruna Idris, so majority leader
raised the attention and asked the question about whether there was prior. But the Speaker presiding did not specifically answer. He allowed it to continue.
No, when it happened that way, then Mama Yarga, a member was up, another member was up, another member was up. In his own wisdom, in order to calm things down in the House, need to allow people to make comments. But if you look at what he ruled, he said that, if you observe him very well, that the argument that have been made by the motion move in Article 102, Article 104, Standing Order 109, that was debated in the House. It's nothing new to him. And he didn't get any prior approval, as in Order 51. So for that matter, he's not entertaining any such application.
So if the motion fails, is it because
there's no motion to be failed? The motion was not admitted by the Speaker. That's the bottom line. Fast track that. You see,
I've just been given. Hold on. I've just been given something. It says
votes and proceedings.
Motion. This the votes and proceedings. 5. Motion that this Honourable House rescinds the decision it took on the budget statement and economic policy of the government for the year ending 31st December 2022 on Tuesday, 30th November 2021, moved by Honourable Minority Leader Mr. Haruna Idrisu, seconded by the Honourable Member for Boku Central, Mr. Mahama Ayariga. So how do you explain this record?
This is not a record of Parliament. This is not the true record of Parliament.
Really?
Let me explain to you and you understand. Let me explain to you and you understand. This
was printed as of.
Can I just offer education on this? Then you'll be able to admit what actually is going on. You say this is the vote and proceedings of Wednesday.
It's the minutes of what happened.
So what happened to this one is that every morning we have this printed about what happened the previous day. Then after prayers, this is what the speaker, if there's a formal communication, speaker bring. If there's none, this is what he goes on. He read everything in the vote of proceedings. If any correction, it is corrected. After it is corrected, it is adopted by the House. Then the speaker then banked and said that the vote and proceedings of Wednesday, 1st December 2021 had been approved and adopted by the House. This hasn't been done. It hasn't been done.
And today is Saturday.
Yes,
so
I'm
what
saying
were
that.
you
So
doing
what I'm
on
saying is that
Thursday?
on Thursday, what happened? If you look at the proceedings of Thursday, when the speaker came into the House, there was prayers, and after prayers, the speaker said that there are engagement that is going on, and for that matter, the House has been adjourned until Tuesday. This hasn't been debated. Mind you, when you are even debating, even somebody can look at it. His name, he was in the House. His name is not captured. He can tell them this is that. These people can draw attention to motions and other things. And mind you, on the Tuesday, the previous Tuesday, when the regrettable action the NDC had assumed to have taken to reject the budget, when they were majority leader wanted to make his submission, it was the same vote and proceedings. When they were talking about the vote and proceedings, he drew the speaker attention. That was the first deputy speaker that on the vote and proceedings, it has 137-0, and for that matter, that was not enough to take a decision.
Okay, so
he drew that before it was adopted.
Okay, so
if this thing is put, this is a regrettable mistake, to be honest with you. It's a mistake that the table of foods have, and like I said, it is not a record of parliament.
Okay, so let me ask
it hasn't been
to
adopted.
mislead.
Okay, so
public.
don't worry,
I'm asking you, Honorable Mutala, can you say
Honorable
on authority that this
If
document
I- can I
was
speak?
approved by parliament?
Let me speak.
Yes.
The vote and proceedings, did we adopt it?
Can I now speak?
No, but before I conclude,
No, you answer.
he
So
will come.
answer. Is it yes or no?
No,
Then I'll come back.
did we?
No, can I speak?
No, can you say it whether we have adopted this vote and proceedings? No,
hold
it was
on.
not.
It
You
is
see,
absolutely a document of parliament.
but no. No,
If
that's
I-
not the
if I-
proceedings.
if I-
Honorable
I'll come-
Mutala,
no, so just
Honorable
note that
Mutala,
I'll
you
come
need
to
to,
you.
you
Okay,
see,
so the
this
other
is
thing
a
I
normal
want to-
practice
okay,
in
but
parliament. that
Honorable
you know.
Habib, I
Your
want to-
teacher is watching.
Okay, Honorable
and
Habib.
you need to understand the fact that vote and proceedings until it is adopted by the House. It's not a true record of parliament.
Okay, so
that's what you
Honorable
need to
Habib, I
know.
want to ask though, which is another issue that is boggling the mind of many of us. If the minority side voted on the budget and rejected it, you are the same 137 who approved it. You say yours is right, but theirs is wrong. How is that possible?
Okay.
Because the speaker, much as he has counted himself, he cannot vote. It's in the standing orders,
Thank
and
you.
it's clear. And that is what Honorable Muntaka Mubarak was raising.
Yeah, so for the benefit of people who might not know what actually happened on that day.
No, please, people were watching.
No, so you see, the
It's-
speaker.
in fact, this week, I think, has been one of
let's
the
do-
weeks
let's
people
do
have
that.
followed
Let's
proceedings.
do the distinction here, Jifa.
No, so why is yours right and theirs
So
wrong?
that's what I'm going to do. The distinction here is that the speaker was counted, but the speaker never voted on that.
Why should the
decision.
speaker count himself?
So you see,
The Honorable Alban Bagbin did not count
he's
himself.
not a member of parliament.
Yes,
you
he's
see,
not.
the constitution have made it. very
It's true.
clear.
He's not a member
So
of but
let
the
me-
moment you become a
But
speaker,
if you interrupt
then today-
very well, you might
today
not
I'm
be able
offending
to have.
today I'm offending
Yeah, you might not be
everybody.
able to get the benefit of the doubt.
No,
you see,
please, you-
the point is that the distinction is that the first deputy speaker first is a member of parliament, and the constitution and the standing orders of our parliament says that the first deputy speaker and second deputy speaker must be members of parliament, but the speaker cannot be a member of parliament. If a speaker, even if a member of parliament is elected as a speaker, his seat becomes vacant and a by-election needed to be conducted there. The speaker, the first deputy speaker who was presiding, first of all, represent the people of Bekwai. If he was not a member of parliament, he can't even be a first deputy speaker. So if you look at Article 104 of the Constitution, of which we were basing on the argument, which states that at the time of taking a decision, you should have at least half of the members present and voting. He is a member of parliament. He was present. When he put the question, he never participated in the question. He put the question, and the question was, those who are in favor of that decision should say yeah. And we said it, and he never even participated. That's why I'm saying that he was counted. First of all, he's a member of parliament. So if the decision the 137 members of parliament took on that day will the right honorable speaker. He's a person, and as leadership, we are trying to protect the dignity and the sanctity of parliament. He is not a member of parliament. Alban Babin is not a member of parliament. And you see, if he rule, it is rather unfortunate. And don't people think to assume that we walk out on that very day because of Asidin Ketia? No. That was not the reason.
Okay.
I am
So
telling you as a leader from the majority.
Okay, so why
side,
did you walk out?
We walk out because when the speaker said that the finance minister should leave or he will invoke the marshals on him, that was where we were offended. Because the finance minister was in the house pursuant to Article 111 of the Constitution. And with your permission, I can read a bit of what Article 111 of the Constitution says. The Article 111 of the Constitution says that the vice president or a member or a minister or a deputy minister who is not a member of parliament shall be entitled to participate in the proceedings of parliament and shall be accorded the privileges of members of parliament except that he is not entitled to vote. And you see, which practice our good professor might be able to guide us in parliamentary proceeding.
No, he
that
won't guide us.
you see that if a minister who has presented a document on behalf of the president, that's the budget statement, come and plead with the speaker that, okay, Mr. Speaker, I have a plea to make, and maybe my plea is to be able to engage both sides, because when he put the plea, that was what it was meant for. That the speaker would then say that the house to take a decision on the plea the minister make. Where even in Ghanaian parliamentary jurisprudence, when has that ever happened? What? The minister have come to tell you that, Mr. Speaker, I brought this document.
Okay,
this is the document. Okay. I want to. This person have engaged. I've been hearing debate. I want to engage this person to be able to make a decision. Then you said that the house should make that determination. You understand? That is where the problem started from. Okay. And you see, and after the conclusion of the debate and the challenge that Honorable Afenyo Markins made, and that for us to go into division and our subsequent working out for the fact that the speaker did not treat us fairly, and that for the fact that the speaker did not listen to what actually we were. Okay,
so that's your point. Okay.
So, but don't ever think that this document is approved by Parliament. If I was in Parliament on Thursday,
let me hear from. No, I thought. Oh, you come. Just take. Oh, don't worry.
No, but you have spoken. You have spoken for less that I haven't actually been able.
Please let me bring in Professor Jampo. Don't worry, you get your chance, Professor Jampo. So it's been
so many things.
It's been a tight
I don't actually want to go in there. You said we don't have majority. We don't have that. In Parliament, we have only two sides, majority and minority.
Say so.
So that's the only size. I'm saying we have majority.
Okay, so let me ask Professor Jampo. That's the only. Okay, let me ask Professor. So Professor Jampo, the minority member, Honorable Mutala Mohammed, says there is no majority side, or is majority group and minority group.
The speaker.
He didn't say group. His reaction was when I said that we those in the majority.
He says there is no majority. Anyway, Professor Jampo,
group or it's not. It's we in the majority.
Okay, Professor Jampo, you've done a lot of work with all the political parties through IEA and up till now. Your thoughts on that first, and then we can move on to the issues in Parliament.
I think what we have now in Ghana is a hung parliament. I mean, it doesn't matter how we want to interpret it. It's 137 NDC MPP plus one independent candidate, and that of course makes it a hung parliament. And the Speaker of Parliament, in his own wisdom, gave a certain ruling that said that through on board a new political lexicon, majority group and minority group. I mean, it's just for operational purposes, and I think that's what we've been using since the inception of this particular Parliament. Jifa, it appears that because we are used to that kind of parliament that always has the executive arm of government dominating, we are still confused as to how to handle the current kind of parliament that we have. And so what I see simply is extremely partisan political theatrics and gymnastics that fails to appreciate what a hung parliament is and how a hung parliament or such a hung parliament can be handled in order to ensure that governance is not stalled. That is what they are doing.
And I thought that some water has passed under the bridge, and so my honorable people here will tone down. But it appears that they're still doing what they were doing in Parliament, even here. And my fear is that if you don't take care, then we'll go the Malawian way. At one point in time, Malawi had a hung parliament, and for 4 years, Parliament never worked because they all had the strength and they all had the numbers. And so for 4 good years, Parliament just sat down doing nothing.
But is that the risk here? Isn't it probably the fault of the majority side for not engaging properly? Honorable Murtala says certain things
well,
but you want the group to approve the budget and come back and appeal for changes later.
I'm developing that point, that so we may either want to go the Malawian way or know that there is a government elected and given the mandate to rule, and that government must succeed or must rule. And so in that case, the responsibility lies more on the ruling government to ensure that it consults, it dialogues at all costs just for the purposes of getting the chance to be able to rule. Otherwise, if Parliament becomes the Malawian Parliament, then the government cannot also rule. And so, please, I am quite surprised. You see, hung Parliament has the features that have been exhibited by our Parliament. It is quite normal with any hung Parliament. But a hung Parliament is good. It helps Parliament to play its role as a countervailing authority to the powers of executives. There must, within every democracy, there must always be a certain power that will counter the exercise of power. And so if you go to Parliament and it is hung, you see, they try to assert themselves, and if you are not able to deal with them properly, then the executive will find itself, in trouble. Again, hung Parliament is good because it is able to force certain democratic ideals of tolerance, dialogue, and consensus building into our democracy. Without tolerance, dialogue, and consensus building, our democracy is not guaranteed. It's not safe. It may relapse. And then also, let us also appreciate the fact that at the moment in Ghana, we don't have any institutionalized dialogue platform that would safeguard our democracy. We used to have the IEA Ghana Political Parties program that ensured that people sat down and spoke. I remember there was a certain by-election, Etiwa or Akutia, that there was violence. And these party leaders, I remember Alhaji Ramadan holding hands with McMenu and other, going around telling them that, look at us, we are not fighting. We have a platform that brings us together to dialogue. That platform has collapsed. Inter-party advisory committee of the Electoral Commission now is no longer a credible dialogue platform.
Because, because the NDC is not there.
Well, the NDC is not there. And then also that platform is packed with so many election machines. Parties who call themselves political parties but don't have the muscle or wherewithal to, influence any political decision or get into power. And so the only platform that, in my view, exists is a platform exists for dialogue and consensus building, is a platform given us by a hung Parliament. And so if the two sides cannot dialogue, genuine dialogue, sincere dialogue. I'm not talking about that thing they fool all of us. We are going into meeting. We are meeting that kind of meeting where they go and they have their intransigent position. I'm not talking about that. But you see, if you talk about successful dialogue in a democracy, you are talking about give and take. The majority group or the MPP must know that it hasn't got that power or that political muscle to be able to bulldoze its way through Parliament. It can only do so if it learns the rudiments of dialogue. The minority group must also know that by being overly intransigent, they are also not endearing themselves to the people of Ghana.
But is that fair? Because I think many have been relatively satisfied that the minority group has served as a certain check on the majority and even the government. And that's why in some instances where they felt the minority group could have done better, they were heavily criticized for not, being
Well, I'm talking about, listen, I'm talking about what they are doing in
you think
this
they are
current...
frustrated? Do you think they are frustrated?
No, I'm just sounding a caution that they must know that you frustrate governance, and if governance becomes frustrated, it affects all of us. If at the end of the day, because of some of this rancor, acrimony and tension, budgets do not go through, you and I will suffer one way or the other. But the majority must also know that they have a country to govern. The president has a mandate of the people to govern, and so the responsibility lies more on them to reach out. They have nothing much to lose. In fact, theirs is to be able to do some of these gymnastics and theatrics, just to be able to frustrate you, to expose you as being an incompetent person in terms of dialogue, so that they would feel that would enhance their political fortunes and order. Even though I disagree that necessarily enhances political fortunes, but they don't have much to lose. But the government of the day has a lot to lose if its budget doesn't go through. But how would they be able to push their budget through? We need genuine dialogue, genuine tolerance, genuine consultations, and the kind of behind the scenes talking that is frank, honest and candid, not what they are doing here.
Okay.
I mean, it doesn't help the cause of democracy. It throws into the body politic that there is tension, and tomorrow, if the idea first is that we don't have dialogue and we are not talking, and there is a little conflict, then I tell you that our democracy may relapse, because there may be an implosion. And so they should set that kind of example that shows Ghanaians that even though it's a hung parliament, they are willing to work together just to be able to project the interest of Mother Ghana. Otherwise, look, Jifa, we are sitting on a time bomb. If this matter is not resolved amicably, if the majority would not be able to reach out genuinely, if the minority would also want to be overly intransigent, then we are sitting on a time bomb.
Yes, Honorable.
Jifa, I was scandalized. You allowed him to mislead your
Who?
people. Habib. You allowed him.
Just make your point.
Honorable Habib, I
Make your
represent the
point.
good
Okay,
people of
Honorable Habib.
Tolong,
Honorable
and I'm your leader in parliament, so I'll call you without respect.
Honorable Habib, the deputy.
Which aspect do you disagree
I'll come.
with?
Honorable Habib, the deputy chief whip.
Good.
Yes.
My advice to my brother is that he needs to take his time to learn the rudiments of parliament. He needs to read the standing orders. And I think the failure to do so led to the conclusions he came at. Why? He's saying that there wasn't any motion.
Yes.
He said that. That is an absolute untrue. As a matter of fact, when Honorable Haruna Idrisu rose, Haruna Idrisu said he was moving the motion. When Honorable Ayarga was going to second, he said, I am seconding this motion. The first deputy speaker allowed debate to take place.
But isn't it true that
I'm coming. Please.
No, I'm just saying that. Is it true that he didn't categorically say I've accepted this?
He doesn't need to say I have accepted or not accepted. And that is why I was insisting that you allow me to finish. If the speaker felt that it wasn't a motion he wanted to admit, whether he had prior information or not, he wouldn't have allowed Honorable Haruna Idrisu to move the motion. But the fact that he allowed him to move the motion, and Honorable Ayarga seconded the motion was debated upon. Almost 6 people from the MPP side were called, and 6 from the NDC side to debate on it. He had no option. Yet you have a leader who thinks that I should call me a leader, sat here and peddled absolute falsehood. A motion was actually moved, seconded, debated upon. If you watch the video you played, when Honorable Mutaka rose, he was saying, why? The motion has been moved, seconded, and debated upon. You need to put the question. The reason why he refused to put the question because he knew they didn't have the numbers. I mean, what is more scandalous this morning is the fact that you have Deputy Chief Whip saying that Hansard, work of Hansard of Parliament, is not an official document.
No, he
or
says
a true representation. I'm coming.
It's not been approved.
It doesn't need to. That is why I'm saying that he needs to take. Look, he's a Muslim. I know that he reads his Quran. Please let me finish. Let me. Jifa, can I finish?
Okay, let him finish.
Jifa, I beg you, Jifa.
Yes.
Jifa.
Hold on. So,
you see,
so is it?
Jifa,
has it been approved?
Jifa, he's a level 100 member.
No. Let's
I'm
not
coming.
say that.
No, I will. He's a level 100 member of Parliament. even
but
though
he's
he's
a leader.
No, but you see, the fact that you are a leader doesn't take away you need to have
but
time.
I'm asking you a question. Has this been approved by the entire
I am
House?
saying that he made statement. Let me respond.
Has it been approved?
Can I finish?
You cannot answer this.
Can I finish? He said, if you want, and that's why I'm saying that you read this. Go and read the standing orders.
Which order?
The Hansard is
Which
the
order? Which order? Tell us the
please
standing
allow
order.
him.
No, which standing order?
Honorable, allow him. Yes.
No, I forgive him because he's not reading it. You see, the Hansard captures proceedings in the House. You know why? If you speak into the mic, it is recorded. You can say anything as long as your mic is not on. That is not recorded. And the Hansard is the reflections of happenings on the floor. You took votes and proceedings as captured by Hansard of Parliament and stated in it palpably that a motion was moved and seconded. That is the true reflection of what happened on the floor. Now, if you go to Parliament, and then we have what we do normally, by the way, let me inform him, the Speaker doesn't read what is in it. The Speaker mentioned page by page. Page 1. If you have any issue with page 1, you raise. Page 2, if you have any issue with page 2. But let me just draw his attention and the attention of you. Oh, please. You are
please. Did that happen?
Oh, please. I'm helping you.
Page 1, page 2,
you
after the last page.
Hold on. You said the Speaker reads. You said the Speaker reads.
Okay, no.
The reason why that didn't happen. You know why? You see, and he's not being truthful. We never sat on Thursday when we agreed that to resolve what happened the previous week. Then the leadership then agreed, including him, that okay, let's go to the chamber and adjourn. Let's go into the chamber and adjourn.
But that's what I
said.
So
when they went, please. You asked whether it was read. Ladam, when you were speaking, I listened to you. The reason why this thing was not done is because the leadership all agreed we should go to Parliament chamber and adjourn to Tuesday because of the nagging issues and the fact that there are still engagements. So strictly speaking, there wasn't sitting on Tuesday.
Okay, so let me ask: if you go back for sitting on this coming,
they would have to. Yes.
Will you go through?
Yes.
This
let me give you
for the approval.
You see, the one with the action we took, and for which reason they claimed that the Friday action was illegal. When they came on Tuesday to engage in that illegality, they approved and adopted the very thing they described as illegal. When you go there, it is the true reflection of the House, and you have a leader who sits on national television because of political party experiences and says that Hansard's document is a problematic document.
No, he didn't say that.
Oh, he said it. He said this.
He just says that it's not being fully
he said
approved.
it's problematic, his words. And I challenge you to play it and shame me. He said this document is problematic. A leader. So I'm saying that my advice to my kid brother.
I didn't say it was problematic. I said this is not a true and accepted document by Parliament.
Sadly, he doesn't even remember the things he said.
That's what I said.
So
I am saying that play it and shame your him. He doesn't even remember what he said.
So the point is, this still has to be approved.
I'm saying that not approved. This is the official reflection of what happened. Whether it is approved. When I'm speaking, he comes in, you even stop him.
To understand the fact. I need to just let him understand.
When they went, have I finished
you made your point.
Listen, when you interject unnecessarily, you even stop him. When he was speaking, I allowed him.
Okay, so your final point.
So I am saying that everything that is captured officially becomes the official document, whether approved by his own estimation or not. It is the true reflection of what happened on that day. And you took that document to tell him when he said there wasn't a motion. You brought that document, I didn't bring it. And you flipped and showed him that there was a motion as captured in the votes and proceedings. That is the matter here. I am saying that he needs to take his time. Perhaps I would help with some votes and the standing orders if he doesn't have any.
No,
he needs to take his time to address
I guess the disagreement here is that for you, whether this document is approved by the plenary or not, it's a record of the House.
The reason why you brought this document because he made a categorical statement.
So I wanted clarity, but he says that it's not been fully approved.
The reason why you
That's why I'm asking you.
I'm asking you the reason why you brought this document. Because he made a categorical...
But he now explained.
He made a categorical statement that there wasn't a motion.
Yes.
Now, I explained that there was a motion moved, seconded, debated upon by including their leader.
Yes.
So he then said Oh no, then you brought it. It's been captured in your official document.
Yes, and he now says that the official document is not fully approved.
He's questioning the
It's like minutes. When you go to a meeting, you go through the minutes, those that are struck out. Isn't that what is normally done?
He's questioning the integrity of the Hansard department, the leader.
Okay, I will not finish on this one, so let me move on quickly and take a break. Let me take a quick break. Let me allow Professor Jampo to come in, and then I'll come to you. Yes, Prof.
Well, I think our time is almost up, but then I want to still make the point that, you see, either side can find all the faults and exploit the lacuna in the rules to its advantage. NDC can do that. MPP can do that. But at the end of the day, they should note that if you do that, then you can't move forward, and Parliament would essentially grind to a halt. And who suffers the most if Parliament grinds to a halt and government business stalls? Okay. Is the majority side. And that is why I'm saying that if the NDC would want to interpret the rules from their own perspective, the majority side shouldn't do same. Even if you want to do same, at the end of the day, you have to find all means. You see,
let's talk a bit about
I have not been interested.
But let's talk about the specific complaints about the e-levy, complaints about the increase in charges for public sector services, the Momo tax. Those are the things the minority side is against. And truth be told, if the generality of Ghanaians also have raised complaints about it, it behoves the finance minister and the government team to take a look at this once again, redraw the old document, present a new one that reflects the concerns of the people.
Yeah, but today I didn't want to go into details. All I wanted to talk about was the need for them to build consensus.
But this is the reason.
I know, but then we can go a bit into the specifics. I mean, if you want to talk about the e-levy and then other 15% charges that may have been imposed and all that, of course, you cannot say that the finance minister or the government didn't think through before imposing such levies. But at the same time, these levies are going. I've argued against it that, you see, we are people who refer to ourselves as loyal taxpayers. We are those people who, when we go and collect our pay slips, we don't look at the tax deducting component, because if you look at that, please, you go crazy. We don't look at that. And so if you want to come out with any taxation, then you should be, and you want to be innovative in bringing, widening the tax net, then you should be innovative in such a way that those of us who have held governance or governments and paid for Article 71 office holders, paid all their bills, you would cushion us a little, but you wouldn't impose extra bed. I mean, we've been talking about some of these things. I've said my view, giving my view about this. I know credible voices within the body politic have also given their views. Issa spoke about it. I mean, Peter Korte said that it is punitive. I know my own colleague Bob Watin said if you want to increase it, then bring that bill, then that levy, it should be around 0.5% and all that. But it appears that, you see, all these views are credible voices, but once the NDC as the opposition articulates it, it becomes a bit offensive or repulsive to the ruling party. And so once it's coming from the opposition, you see, we are used to the majority always having its way. And so if it is coming from the opposition, then it becomes difficult for them to accept. But the point is, to the extent that this is creating rancor, to the extent that this is becoming embarrassing, to the extent that Parliament now is behaving like a jungle, even in the jungle where common sense is not common, order is maintained. So if members of Parliament would want to behave this way simply because we are in a hung Parliament, then at the end of the day, like I keep saying, you see, I pity the ruling government. Okay, I pity the majority side, because it appears that they are not appreciating the fact that if they don't do something now, they would have more to lose than the minority group. And so my brother Habib, it is important that you accept this, that look, at the end of the day, you must govern. At the end of the day, a mandate has been given to you to govern. And so don't be so much distracted by the one who is throwing stones at you, and so you lose your focus, you lose your cool, and you want to address it. At the end of the day, you would not be able to govern. And so reach out to them. Otherwise, then let us all agree that let Parliament grind to a halt, and let's see what will happen. If Parliament grinds to a halt and your budget doesn't go through, we will suffer, but governance will suffer.
The budget.
Okay, and so the point is, no, please don't be saying these things. I expect you to be sober, okay, in reflecting on some of these things, and then reach out. The bit about the budget has been rejected. The bit about the budget has been approved. Are all part of the political theatrics that comes from you people, the hawks within the party. But the point is that at this juncture, and then within a hung parliament, the hawks in political parties have no role. You are supposed to be backbenchers. You need more level-headed people, more experienced people, more tolerant people to be able to dialogue, not the hawks. Otherwise, at the end of the day, the country we would have problems. And when we have problems, some of you already have your visas and your passport, you run away and leave it.
I don't have a visa.
We don't like that. And so I'm talking to you, I expect you to listen.
Okay,
you have to be sober.
Okay, let me bring in
sober too.
Okay, let me bring in Honorable Habib. I'll come to you, Honorable Mutala. I'll come to you.
Yes.
No, it's because on this issue he raises, I just want to hear what is the government or the majority side's plan in terms of the e-levy, the Momo tax, the 15% charges, the Ejapa deal, the ECA deal. All these things are sore points for the minority side. What's the plan to address these?
Yes, as you know, Parliament, we are engaging.
You and who?
We and our colleagues in the minority. I'm a member.
Not that kind of thing.
Is it the 20-member committee?
Prof, with all due respect, you don't know the terms and reference and the caliber of people who are in this committee and what we discuss. So you cannot say that we are not. I'm a member of that committee.
Okay, so it's the 20-member committee.
With all due respect, I'm a member of.
Is that the 20-member committee?
Okay. We are.
It's a 20-member bipartisan
committee that we are actually engaging in dialogue.
Let me clarify before you go on. With respect to you, see, we've heard that you are engaging. We've heard that you are meeting with the minority. We've heard that because of such engagement, certain delayed and all that, and we didn't see. The aftermath of that engagement didn't typify a group that had engaged. That's the reason why I was saying that I hope it was not that kind of engagement.
Prof,
I've seen it before. That's why I agree with that.
Don't expect a one-day wonder that we are just going to go into dialogue on some of these issues and we'll come out one day. Just immediately we'll go in, we are agreeing and we are coming out. It's a lot of issues that is entailed, and we are trying our best. That is why you could see that on Thursday we had the shortest sitting ever, because this was agreement that was agreed by this committee. Okay, Parliament cannot sit, but we don't also want to say that we are going in there to fight. So for that matter, let's agree. We are going in there after prayers, then we are adjoining.
I understand it was only a 4-minute sitting.
Good. So that was the agreement from this. So that was the agreement on this committee. And the 5 things that you have mentioned, with this same bipartisan engagement, about 4 of them have been honored. 4
so you've
have
agreed,
been honored. The
you've
only
agreed
thing that
something?
is, yes, we have agreed on 4. The only thing that is still outstanding is the e-levy. Yes, the minister have agreed that some funding is going to be put to the sea defense. We for purposes of us, coexisting and building concessions. Yes, I could say that I am not in support of it. Yes, Keta is just a constituency. Don't I have serious problems in my constituency in Tolong that I can also think that the budget should also capture things in Tolong? No, I'm coming. I want him to understand. I want him to understand the consensus builder.
No, the point I'm trying to make is that
Jifar, let me make a point.
No, sir,
but government have agreed. I'm talking about the 5 points.
But I want to remind you
have agreed
that a major disaster, force majeure, had happened in this constituency.
So that part
it's not just about Keta, but if you say
the finance minister,
there are also important things in my constituency, it doesn't sound good.
No, but what
There
I'm
are
trying to say is
important
that,
things
Jafar,
everywhere.
what I'm trying to say is that as much as many things, we are all representing our constituencies. As much
Yes,
as
but your constituency, there is no disaster now.
Jafar, let me make a
That to
point.
make
I'm
an
trying to
example.
make it an example to let you understand the fact that even though that is the case, 4 of the issues have been actually understood.
Okay,
you
so
see,
you've
and if you look at
you've agreed on Keta.
and
You've agreed
ACA, GMPC ACA Energy.
Okay.
It is the language that they had a problem with, as if there was
What about
a
Ejapa?
resolution. Ejapa is still in the burner. It is not something that has happened. So we have agreed on Ejapa. The problem that we
On
have
ECA
now,
GMPC.
yes, everything is, and then there was other thing that has to do with other budgetary issues and everything. The bipartisan committee, we have agreed on that. The only thing that is still outstanding, it is the e-levy. I don't know your itemizing e-levy and that of Momo
you
tax
said
is the same thing.
E-levy Momo tax is
Yeah,
still
it
pending.
is part that the NDC decide to call it Momo tax, even though it is called e-levy, but they call it Momo tax because it is not only Momo.
I think
You
the
see,
e-levy is for those of us.
if they want to call
I
it
beg your
Momo tax,
pardon.
if they want to call the e-levy a Momo tax, I can say here that NDC started Momo tax.
How did
Because NDC brought the Financial Transaction Act, and Momo is a financial transaction in 2015-16. So if e-levy is not a transaction that has to only affect only Momo.
I get you.
So
That
that's
is
what
why
I'm trying.
the difference
So we need to get that straight and understand that when in 2015-16, when the budget was presented and our 17.5% was put on fine. Yeah, definitely he is
Okay, but
of
you
large,
said
he has a
that. So
right
you
to.
said that e-levy is still pending.
Yes, we are
Okay.
still discussing.
What
on
about the 15% increase on services in the public
You see,
services?
the finance minister had come to the house. That was on Tuesday before the approval, and said that there are some concessions that he will make. Yes, we do agree with our colleagues that, okay, let this concession be known to us. Table these concessions, then we will know that this concession is tabled, this is that, while it guides us through the process of examining the estimate. And
So
then
when
for
will the
appropriation.
negotiations conclude?
The negotiations, I think we are billed to meet again on Monday. We are meeting Monday in the morning, and for us to see the way forward and what will happen on Tuesday, because the house was adjourned until Tuesday. It is the Momo levy that we all have to look at. But you see, certain times, Prof is here and we can be guided. The whole world is hit by a pandemic called COVID that has affected world performance, even developed economies. Now, government need to be able to raise revenue. If you look at debt to GDP and you look at revenue to GDP, 30.2 million Ghanaians are there. Less than 10 million Ghanaians pay taxes in terms of the tax that we pay. Government need to raise revenue. You are saying that government should not borrow, irrespective, or government is thinking.
It's not that anyone said government should not borrow. It is the New Patriotic Party that told us during campaign that, there's money and there will be no need to borrow as much as the previous administration. People are only holding the government to their words.
That is why my preamble, I said that unexpected COVID have hit us. When MPP was coming into power on the 7th of January, when President was sworn in 2017, there was nothing like COVID. And if you see the performance from a performing economy about 3.6, and before COVID came, it was around 7.5 in terms of the economic outlook. But you come and look at after COVID have hit us, what actually we have been able to endure, the impact it has had on world economy. Even the US, they had to pump about $3 trillion into the economy. About 20 million job loss in the US economy. These are like big economies that we are talking about, not to talk about our economy. So what government is simply trying to do is to be able to raise revenue and be able to tax. Prof and I, like he said, I do agree, like when we are paid automatically, we are deducted. But we are less than 10 million out of 30 million Ghanaians. If you look at the statistics, it will scare you. If I may just,
so that I can go to Honorable.
You see, we have only 2.4 million persons who are registered as personal income taxpayers as of August 2021. 45,109 entities are entitled as corporate taxpayers, and we have 136,000 registered businesses at the Register General who pay taxes. You see, our revenue to GDP, 13.5%. Then you ask yourself, how will government be able to execute its projects? So taxing, we are not the only people who bring taxes. You say Momo tax is going to bring VAT. VAT 17.5.
Okay, but
when NDC brought it, there was a demonstration. There was a demonstration. I'm coming. You see, the argument they always make is that the Momo tax, as it is being called, even though it is called an e-levy, it is going to affect the ordinary person, and if possible, affect
so there are proposals,
your capital, affect your capital.
Okay,
I don't see how that is different from
but proposals
VAT,
are being made that the threshold for the Momo should be more than
we are talking. To be honest with you, and we are making progress.
Anyway, so I think
we are talking and we are making a lot of progress.
Okay, so he says they are talking. Honorable Mutala, are the teams talking?
Just as I was calm listening to him, I want him to listen to me.
Okay, but the 20-member bipartisan committee, do you know if they are making any progress?
Yes. No, engagement is completely collapsed.
Really?
So, yes.
The 20-member committee?
You are not a member, Honorable Mutala, respectfully. You are not a member.
Okay, so just a...
So what do you mean by it collapsed? Last meeting I was there.
He says they are meeting on Monday.
If I just admonish you.
No, so go ahead. But he says they are
I take serious exceptions to this.
No, I beg your pardon.
I listen to him. You should listen
to him. Okay, go ahead.
So I am a member of the committee. It is your
responsibility.
Okay, but he said that they are meeting on Monday.
Why I'm talking when you're talking it has collapsed or something. It's going to
be like... Could you tell him to listen to me?
Okay, but the point is, he says the team is meeting on Monday. If they are meeting on Monday...
You are giving me the opportunity to respond. It is not you or he.
I get
it. On Thursday.
So allow me to make my point.
Yes, but just for clarity, he says the team is meeting on Monday. If you say it's collapsed, how can they meet on Monday?
I am saying that so-called team for engagement is collapsed. You just need to read the statement the NDC caucus issued. What Honorable Mutaka said. So why are you here talking about an engagement again? Okay, go ahead. So it's collapsed.
Okay.
No. You see?
It was an NDC.
Honorable Habib, please allow him.
Okay.
Yes.
You see?
Honorable, go ahead. Honorable Mutala, please go ahead.
One of the reasons why I was advising my kid brother to take his time to learn the rudiments
Honorable, just make your point.
Allow me to make my point, Jifa. To learn the rudiments of the parliamentary proceeding was the statement he made when he said that he personally is against the funding for the Kita Sea defense because he has problems in Tola.
But I've called him out on that.
It was an example we said.
My interest is not.
I was just telling you
allow me to make my point. Why are you now telling me that I take what you said?
No.
So I am particularly scandalized that you have a leader of the house who makes such statements. I love Tola, and he knows I'm a royal of Tola. He knows that. But the point I'm making is that such statements ought not be coming from you. Government is not doing the people of Kita any favor. It is the responsibility of government to intervene when a section of the Ghanaian populace are facing what the people of Kita are facing. So don't create the impression as if government is doing them any favor. In any case, the Minister for Works and Housing, when this problem came up, promised the people of this country that they were going to take care of the Kita Sea defense problem. In the budget, you submitted the budget and Kita is not even mentioned in the budget. So that occasioned the demand people started making. In any case, we went into negotiation with you. Those issues we raised were issues that bordered on many concerns of the people of this country. The NDC is the representation of the people of Ghana, just like the MPP. And Prof, with all due respect, the NDC is not doing this to advance our political interests. We are doing this because what we are doing is the reflection of our constituents. As a matter of fact, the last time I checked, ISA is not an NDC wing. Prof, the last time I checked, you are not an NDC person. You have expressed your opinion on this. All the aspects who were brought for the purposes of the post-budget, workshop, including Dr. Ali Nachan, who is an expert in tax or tax law, they all condemned the e-levy. And in fact, they all gave suggestions what they think under the prevailing economic circumstances, the hole that you dug as a result of your recklessness in spending, for which reason the people of this country are suffering. They say, look, we may agree. Go if you listen to ISA, they say that, look, it is regressive. Every tax has the instruments of taxation. Regressive tax regime is something that affects the poor. So when you impose such a tax regime, people are concerned. So let's get it. It's not an NDC issue. It's an issue of the generality of the people of this country. Dr. Kwame Mpienu is one of the founding fathers of NPP. He condemned the e-levy, the Bawumia tax, in a term that I may not repeat on this program. He's not an NDC person. He's one of the founding fathers of the NPP. Condemned it in no uncertain terms. Every single aspect I heard indeed condemned this. So the point, the issue is not just about whether NDC agrees or disagrees. Another very important point that we need to look at. Now, he is telling us the reason why government has to do this is because government needs to mobilize revenue. Why haven't you told the people of this country why per the Auditor General's report 12 billion Ghana cedis was misappropriated? Now, if you are telling us that I'm imposing such a regressive tax regime on you because of my inability to generate revenue, how about the revenue you generated, which you recklessly expended? Where is that 12 billion? Now, he sits here without any shame, telling us that because we are 32 million people and only a number of million people pay taxes, whose responsibility is it to ensure that the loopholes of the leakages with regards to the taxes we take are closed? Whose responsibility? Is it not the responsibility of the government? So you have failed to discharge your responsibility. You now blaming the people of this country for your incompetence. Jifa, the least we would expect these people to tell the people of this country is to justify these taxes on COVID. Ghana was not the only country hit with COVID. COVID was a global pandemic, and it's still a global pandemic. The assessment of the effects of COVID to country has to do, to a very large extent, the casualties, the number of people, unfortunately, who lost their lives, isn't it? As to the impact it has on the economy, several issues came and affected the economy than COVID. Now, Burkina, Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Togo, Benin, they were more hit on COVID than us. None of them went to the IMF to borrow $2 billion in the name of COVID. None of them went and got money, about $100 million from the World Bank. None of them dipped their hands into their heritage funds for the purposes of COVID. None of them. Now, you went in for all these monies, and you could not, and you still cannot explain to the people of this country how you expended those monies. And the only resolution to it is that you are asking the people of this country to pay more taxes in the name of e-levy. President Mahama built the bridges, the roads, the hospitals without having to impose e-levy on the people of this country. They should tell us what they have done. Under President Mahama, we had only one oil well, and we were producing 70,000 barrels a day. President Mahama provided the people of this country with 2 additional oil wells, and we are producing over 200,000 barrels a day. What did you do with the money?
It's not over 200,000 barrels.
How many barrels?
I can tell you for a fact that it's not.
So what is it? Tell us. So tell us.
It's about 130.
So at least it's more than the 70,000 barrels. I'm saying that at least it's more than the 70
so
barrels.
All I'm just trying to...
But I'm saying that, you see, that your point is moot. Okay. It is still more than the 70,000 barrels. Yet President Mahama didn't do this. Let me tell you, when we had energy crisis, apart from the fact that COVID unfortunately affected lives, the impact of the energy crisis, the fact that gold prices has dipped, the fact that cocoa prices had dipped, the fact that at that time oil prices indeed had dipped, that had tremendous effect on the economy than COVID. Even under that circumstance, President Mahama didn't impose e-levy on the people of this country. Now, all the monies you have borrowed, the monies that the people of this country borrowed from Nkrumah up to the time we handed over the governance of this country to you was 120 billion. How much is the level of borrow today? Of almost 300 and something billion. You alone have borrowed over 200 billion. What have you done with the money? Show me one single hospital, one, built by this government, one. Show me. I guess the people of Tolang are enjoying a hospital that was provided by President Mahama. Now, show me one. And even in Tolang, I want you to tell me. Please.
No, wait. I think you've...
He had a lot of time. Let me address.
All I'm just trying to say is I think you've given us the summary of the economic view based on the COVID and all that. But I'm concerned about when the finalization of agreement on these issues you've raised, because now you are saying that the negotiations are not going well.
Just read the statement issued by Honorable Mutaka just yesterday.
Yes. So the point I'm just trying to make is, will there be an effort to reach...
The reason why this negotiation is collapsed, the budget was constitutionally, legally, procedurally rejected.
So now, you want what to happen? That Speaker Bagbin... No, I'm asking. So you want what? Speaker Bagbin to come back and do the process again?
In my mouth. Let me make my point.
Okay.
The budget was legally, constitutionally, and appropriately, procedurally rejected. They came in there, and he said that the speaker, Honorable Osei-Usu, didn't vote. Look, for you, there are two quorums that are formed in Parliament. You have a quorum to commence business, which you need 1/3, and you have a quorum to take decision. Now, per the standing orders, if you read Order 1093, I have realized that they are reading Order 109, in fact, 1092. I realized that they are reading Order 1093 alone. Order 1092 says that when the deputy speaker, one of them, is acting as the speaker, he takes the full responsibility of the speaker.
I read
that. You are not only denied, you see, there is one thing that is not being made here. You are not only denied your right to vote, in fact, you are also denied your right to participate in a debate. So if the argument is that I represent the people of Bekwai, and by so doing, I can be counted. The reason why he counted himself, because he knew procedurally they didn't have the quorum to vote, to take decisions. He knew. So he needed to count himself so that he can say that we had 138. And by so doing, any decision we take, it will be valid. And on Friday, we had 274 members signing. The signing of representation or attendance is not done at the lobby. It is done in the chamber. So for you to sign, you have to take your seat, and they bring it. Sometimes when you watch on TV, you see that they will see some of the officers, they bring it and then you sign. That motion for the budget was already moved, seconded, debated upon, and the decision was about to take. But for the prayer, which the Speaker, Honorable Bagbin, allowed to take place, we would have been voting on this matter. What they did on Tuesday was nothing but a charade of a decision. The first thing is that the rejection of the budget on the 25th of November is what must stand. Failure to do so, any other illegality that they perpetrated is void. Okay. And that is why I'm saying that we cannot get into any negotiation without first and foremost looking at the illegality of what they engage in.
Okay, so I think that's a nice point to end on. Honorable Habib, I'll give you the last. I'll give you the last point. I need to allow.
Why would you give? He started. I came. You went. No. You are
okay, Honorable Habib, make your point. I'll give the last point.
So for Prof, who is an academic, will be able to come in and be able to cement what the politician actually is saying. You see, when you look at the performance of every economy, you'll be able to realize and appreciate that the MPP is doing a lot amidst the fact that my good brother is actually downplaying the impact of COVID. In fact, to be honest with you, this economy has been very resilient. It is not the economy that was on its knees that we had done so. It is not the economy that was on its knees up to the bone that public sector employment was frozen. So you cannot actually talk about employment when public sector employment was frozen. As a result of your engagement, that the economy we inherited that you took us to IMF in 2014, really? The economy that a common condom was taxed, cutlass was taxed, sanitary pad was taxed.
Oh, really?
By this NDC and John Mahama government. So what I'm trying to say is that, you see, Honorable Murtala need to appreciate and understand the fact that when you are into parliamentary business, this is your second time going into parliament, and you actually have to appreciate and understand some of the standing orders when we need to be able to
but I think
so the most important thing is that
the speaker adding himself should not have happened because
you see, the point is that
you divest yourself.
So now he can sit here.
I read that
and I have said that. You see, when you go, I don't need to hold the standing orders to be able to interpret it in the constitution like he's holding it. I'm a leader and I'm obliged to have it and know the standing order. Even on Tuesday, if they care to know, Article 1043. Article 1043. If you actually know that the speaker had no right to be able to come and vote or something, or to participate in the voting, why didn't you come to the chamber on the Tuesday? Because if you read Article 104(3), it will tell of the Constitution it will tell you that it will tell you that where the votes on any motions are equal, it shall be taken as loss. So if you said Joe Owusu was not going to be counted, was not supposed to vote.
That's what he's saying. That is because you knew you were going to.
So why didn't they come in? Joe Owusu never voted. I am putting it on record. He never voted. He was counted.
He counted.
To be counted. You see, Honorable Mutala, what you fail to realize is that there's one thing.
He was counted as a member of parliament.
There is one thing attending.
He was counted as a member of parliament. Once you are a speaker, you are
counted as a member of parliament, but he was not. He never participated in the voting.
Okay, but he didn't vote.
No,
it's two quorum.
It wasn't for.
It's two quorum.
Quorums in parliament.
Yes, it's two quorum.
And a quorum to take a decision.
So,
and he knew that 137, you can form a quorum to take business because you need 92, 93. But you
but I need you to wrap up.
So he counted.
So what I am trying to say is that what I am trying to say is that, and the point I have actually been able to make, the decision that took place on that very fateful Tuesday for the approval of budget was in conformity of the Constitution and Article 104 that we have agreed to. Article 104 says that, except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of majority of members present and voting. And the member of Parliament was counted, but he was never voted. You see, so no, it is quorum. 102 is talking about quorum.
102 has provided
the language, Honorable Mutala. So in order to wrap up, this is a government that has come in according to the fact that yes, we have actually been able to borrow, as he said, 120 billion assets in debt. Yes, we have borrowed. No, we have borrowed. Yes, we have borrowed to pay your DUMSO debt. We have borrowed to be able to pay teachers' allowances. We have borrowed to pay nurses' training allowance. We have borrowed to be able to open public sector for us to get employment. And for the history of this country, there is no single government that have brought even one policy that has employed like NABCO have done. 100,000 jobs. No government policy has ever employed.
Okay, so that's where I have to end it with the two of you.
Jobs. Your economy was in its knees. You have to go to IMF. You have to go to IMF for a program.
Final point, because we need to end. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Yes, Professor Jampo, you have the final word.
Thank you very much. You know, I tend to be a very good gentleman when I'm sandwiched between these two belligerent party people.
Please, final point.
I think we need to move on.
We need to find a solution.
We need to move on. But if it is true that negotiations by the 20-member committee has already collapsed. If it is true, I'm saying if it is true.
Have you read the statement?
Forget about this statement.
Which statement?
Let me justify the statement. If you know, CTFM.
An official statement issued by
CTFM had made an interview with the minority leader. And the minority leader had said that they were agreeing with 1%.
That's not true.
Well, he was at a program.
So City didn't interview.
So
he was at a program
on City Channel. So 1%. Honorable Mutaka is saying that they haven't agreed.
Okay, so you are saying
it is NDC, but the committee.
It was a program.
Watch it online.
Okay, yes,
you
watch it on City.
I watch it on City.
That's okay.
So
yes, Professor Jampo.
Honorable Habib says talks haven't broken down. He's saying something to the contrary. But my hope and prayer is that by the end,
I'm a member of the committee. He is not.
Do you represent us?
My hope.
You're a member of the committee and you're peddling this.
Okay, gentlemen, we need to end. Thank you. Please allow Professor Jampo.
The negotiation has.
Okay, Professor Jampo.
My hope and prayer is that we'll be able to bring a finality to this impasse in the week that we are entering, so that at the end of it, it's good for their own image. I mean, Parliament has already issued a statement apologizing for what has happened, and I want to hope and believe that cool heads would reign and hawks within the party will take backbench in this particular matter, and then let the level-headed people, more tolerant people lead the process, so that there will be finality. At the end of the day, government must run. Thank you.